What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a DWAC, Statistical and Technical Threat of Analysis. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them can consider joining our trading community on Discord, ARCab. Okay, you guys, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into the charts. So we are going to start with the statistical side of the metrics first, you guys. So new listeners, please listen up. We are looking at volatility here represented by this indicator BBWP. Volatility is direction neutral, so we have to pair it with an indicator similar to an RSI. This is a stochastic momentum or a momentum oscillator. This gives us a bias in direction. In my experience, the stochastic momentum has given me an average of 75 to 90% accuracy depending on the ticker. So I mean, if we're talking about 80% on average, it is pretty good to consider its call, you guys. We are also within the 8-hour chart for DWAC, and this is likely telling us the truth. Okay, you guys. So let me go ahead and explain a couple things of volatility right over here before we continue with how the metrics were taken. So this is the volatility component of BBWP, and this is the moving average, you guys. Every single time we have made an iteration to where we have moved above the 90 percentile, which I consider to be critical expansion, and now below this green line, you guys, is critical contraction. So every single time we've moved every time we've actually made a contraction phase start from these critical highs, I've actually taken iteration from those moments, you guys. And I have measured the upside thrust versus the duration of the iteration versus how many times we got the guess to the upside or the downside correct, you guys. So that gives us an averaged mean for us to look at. So let's go ahead and look at the one that's actually pertaining to us, you guys. So we have a total of 6 iterations, and now of which the guess to the upside was guessed 3 times and the downside was guessed 3 times as well. So the downside accuracy is 50% as well as the long side. Now we have an average downside thrust of 18.07% over the span of about 90.6 hours or 3.7 days. Or almost 4 days, right, you guys? Now, another thing that we have to mention within this statistical metric, we are in a pretty large descending channel. Descending channels are usually a bullish sign, and they can indicate a potential reversal of trend. But we do have to follow the golden rule of 3. It's something that I usually talk about, you guys, where we test the resistance 1 time, 2 time, and 3 time, followed by a capitulation event or a type of accumulation before a true attempt to break out on test number 4. The test number 4 is usually the times where we can honor this breakout, you guys. So for DWAC, since the last video I put up, I remained bearish for the time being for the fact that we are on test number 3, and test number 3 is usually the one where short positions open up for a longer haul to the bottom, you guys, to the downside. Okay, so based on the downside metrics that we got, we were able to see that we were gonna dive. This metric actually fired from the top of this candle, since we were actually looking at it from there. Okay, so the metric of minus 18.7% to the 0.7% to the downside was actually applied, and it had direct confluence with our support line, you guys, and it actually ended up just under it, in which case you can see that the let's just make sure that it is that. So you're talking about an opening candle at 2205. Okay, yeah, so we were looking at about 2205 right over here. This is where the candle opened, you guys, and it essentially closed right at. We're looking at these metrics right here. My apologies, you guys. This is where you can see the candle closures opening, that whole thing, right? So the closing of the candle of this candle is 2282, which is right in confluence with the statistical metric, and you can see that this candle also has its position on the high. On the low of 2165, which is let's see. Well, I mean, my point is that we're using the statistical metric very well right here with these, you guys. So I don't know what to make of this just yet, but what I am seeing is that we have a large 8-hour print in candle analysis. This is an inverted hammer, you guys. When we're in a downtrend and at the bottom of a trend, this can usually signify a signal of reversal. However, you can see that the wick low of this candle is down to here, you guys. So this is not technically the bottom side of the trade, you guys. So there is the likelihood to where sentiment is going to want to take the trade to close this gap, and which would be in direct accordance with what's happening with the third test of the resistance range, you guys, usually faced by a capitulation event. And this is not looking too good right now, you guys. I can see us potentially closing this gap, and the bottom support of this gap is actually the 1.272 at 1772, you guys. So I can likely see, you guys, usually we called this, you guys. We called it at the top. People were asking if we're going to continue up to the upside. I said yes, but temporarily we can likely see a sell-off at the $30.55 zone. But we, in fact, got it a little sooner than that, you guys. And since we printed a type of 3 black crows candle setup right here, which eventually ended up to the downside, which is a bearish setup, and against the third test, which is the biggest capitulation, against our indicators suggesting the downside, there's a lot of things happening, you guys. So now, based on those iterations, you guys, we are at critical expansive levels, and now it looks like, if we just zoom in real close, it looks like we are now starting that contraction phase, and you can see that the moving average is capped at 100, while the spectrum line, which is the volatility component of the BBWP, is starting its downside movement. It's very hard to see. My apologies, you guys, but yes, we have made, this is the line right here that you're seeing for the volatility component. It has now made the cross below the moving average, which signifies the start or the commencement of a contraction phase, and now we are reversing with the stochastic momentum suggesting downside, you guys. This is likely to face a larger downside move. I would just proceed with extreme caution right here. Please watch your longs, as there is a psychological component applied right here as well, you guys, with this gap. The gap range is about 2026 to a bottom side of about 1761. So this is massive area for the psychology to take, you guys. So let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the RSI for a direction bias for the immediate short-term time frame. Let's see if we can gain something for tomorrow, you guys. One more thing within the RSI, actually, you guys, let me go ahead and just make this a little smaller and dive right into the 12-hour chart. We actually noticed that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 primary drives of 12-hour hidden bearish divergence, you guys, and you can see that we did call this way before, and it has since started its descent. These are huge drives, you guys. I mean, we were looking at this from the moment DWAC touched the very top. You can see that the 12-hour RSI has made a bearish cross below the moving average. Definitely not good. The pivot is straight to the downside, suggesting a downside continuation, you guys. So let's go ahead and open up that multi-pane window one more time and see what we have for the immediate short-term time frame now. Okay, the immediate short term is pivoted not so much to the downside, but it is within the bear strength percentile. Okay, for the new listeners, this area down here, the bottom half of the RSI is the bearish control zone, and the upper half is the bullish control zone. So the inner workings is the weakness percentile of either, and the outer workings are the strength percentile of either the bulls and the bears, you guys. So we're suggesting a continuation onto the side, you guys. So this is very much reminiscent to what's happening to the economic data release that we're going to be facing soon, which is on the 10th, I believe, for the CPI, and then midterms for the official presidential announcement will be on the 15th, you guys. So this is every ticker that I'm looking at has this like sideways nonsense happening, you guys. It is very much an indecision. Okay, so now the 2-day time frame is within the shallow areas of the bear weakness percentile, you guys. The moving average is giving us a hint that there is a continuation onto the downside, which is very much in accordance to what we're talking about regarding the covering of this gap. First, we are likely to test this as a support and finding a bounce of recovery, thus testing this resistance of the channel, you guys, as a form of resistance, like I said, and then we would have eventually come down to close this. This can likely happen within 2 or 3 trading sessions if we don't face an impulsive move to the downside in one. Okay, you guys, so now let's move on to the 6 hour. The 6 hour is absolutely nosediving, you guys, and it has made a bearish cross. We are below the moving average now and approaching the weakness, the shallow zone of the weakness from the bulls, you guys. So we are likely to enter bear strength, bear weakness percentile, you guys. This is significant. Now let's look at, we already saw the 12 hour, so let's look at the daily. The daily is absolutely rejecting now from the bull strength percentile, you guys. Rejecting from a huge overbought area, you guys, and it is suggesting a continuation onto the downside. I will not doubt if DWAC ends in entirely red tomorrow, you guys. This can be a bloody day tomorrow. Okay, I'm still warning my bulls. I do not, please consider that I'm not a financial advisor. I can't actually suggest for you to buy or sell any asset. Take whatever I do show within these videos as a form of entertainment. Do your own DD and we'll be okay. All right, you guys. So I am not suggesting any type of long position right here, you guys, other than long puts, which could be an actual pretty good play if you ask me. So yeah, I'm not seeing anything good with DWAC just yet, you guys, and it's very much in accordance to what's happening with the presidential announcement on Tuesday, you guys. So we're gonna see this continuation onto the downside, so that when Tuesday comes and President Trump gives us the formal announcement of his presidency running, then this thing can rocket ship to make its actual true breakout on test number 4, which is usually when we break out of formations like this, you guys, okay? So this is I'm going to leave off the video here, you guys. If you have any questions, please consider joining the ARCa trading community. Visit me on Twitter. I'll leave the links in the description below for you to consider that, you guys. But with that said, I wish you well, and I wish you a good night, and I'll catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.